Hey everyone, I hope you're doing great today. It was finally beautiful and sunny in North Florida. I really miss the sun after a few days of clouds and rain and cold. I'm definitely a sun worshiper. But let's get right into it. I found a bunch of articles about giants, mostly in this one we're going to be looking at. And this first one is from 1900. So here we go. Giant skeleton found, Dixon, Missouri. Prospectors digging for minerals in a cave unearthed the skeleton of a man. The size of the bones showed plainly that the man had been a giant at least 8 feet in height. A number of spearheads, flint, and pieces of crude pottery found indicate that the remains are those of an Indian. Okay, and now we go to the second one from 1908. Just move it up here. Boston man finds bones of a giant. Trailing mountain lion in Mexico, he enters cave and unearths skeleton of man measuring 8 feet 11 inches. So that's almost 9 feet. While trailing a wounded mountain lion in the hills of Jalisco, Mexico, Charles C. Clapp, a broker with offices at 1 Congress Street, found himself in a wide cave littered with hundreds of bones of a race of giants who lived previous to the Aztecs, and succeeded in fitting together one complete skeleton of a man measuring 8 feet 11 inches from head to heel. Mr. Clapp will enlist the aid of Professor Alexander Agassiz in an attempt to secure some of the bones, which are now guarded jealously by the Mexican government. The ribs of that towering chap were more like those of a horse, declares Mr. Clapp, who got back from Mexico only recently. You could crack a coconut with his molars. From front to back, his head measured 18 inches. Among the bones in the cave was a stone hatchet weighing 30 pounds. Well, that's a lot to carry around. Okay, this one's from 1903. Giant skeleton unearthed. Workmen find bones of persons dead, perhaps 1,000 years. Carbondale, Illinois. In excavating recently for a new building in the city of Shawneetown, the oldest town in Illinois, workmen unearthed 14 human skeletons and a large amount of old Indian relics. In a space 8 feet square, the 14 skeletons and 6 large earthen vessels were taken out. The skeletons are of enormous size, one being that of a man fully 8 feet in height, while near this one was found the skull of an adult, judging from its teeth, not larger than that of a 4-year-old child. This, it is thought by doctors here, is the skeleton of a pygmy. The discoveries were made near an old Indian mound, and scientists believe the skeletons are of a people who have been buried fully 1,000 years. So that's another story of giants and small people being buried closely together, like the ones in Tennessee. This one's from 1900. A giant skeleton, the grave of a mound builder, which may be 2,000 years old, opened. Marietta, Ohio. While excavating yesterday for a cellar 200 yards from the famous mound cemetery, workmen dug into a mound builder's grave, supposed to be more than 2,000 years old. The grave was covered with 3 layers of heavy stone, with 3 inches of fine white sand between each layer. When the 3rd stone was raised, the bones of a large man were discovered. In the bones of each hand were 2 solid copper axes, weighing about 2 pounds each. When exposed to the air, the bones crumbled, and within half an hour the entire mass was in small fragments. The axes were secured by Dr. E.R. Bales, an antiquarian, who found them to be of solid copper and exceedingly hard. They have a shrill ring to them and are imperfect in form, being similar to the common axe of today. The experts say the axes are from the Lake Superior region and at least 2,000 years old. The grave was walled in on all sides, the top and bottom, with heavy stones. The body of the mound builder sat in an upright position, with the hands in a position as if supporting the body. The head had fallen over on the ribs and was almost twice the size of the present-day man. All right, so now we have, this one is 1894, prehistoric giant, a skeleton said to have been exhumed near Portsmouth. A special from Portsmouth, Ohio, says a skeleton of a prehistoric giant has been exhumed at the old fort in Kentucky, 12 miles below this city. It is 8 feet in stature and 4 feet across the shoulders. Several silver ornaments were found with it. Okay, so it seems like they all had either copper or silver, and some of them gold. Fossil remains. This one is from 1887. A giant skeleton found in the Diablo Mountains, El Paso. Fossil human remains have been found in the Diablo mountain range just north of the station of Carrizo, 130 miles east of El Paso on the Texas Pacific Railroad. The district was very little visited until lately, when rich silver deposits were found in the range, which led to a large influx of prospectors. The summit where the fossils were discovered is of limestone formation, honeycombed in many places by caves. While digging over these deposits, stone implements, bone needles, pieces of pottery, and other evidences of human habitation have been found. Further investigation unearthed the bones of extinct species of animals, and finally, the crowning discovery was made in the finding of a portion of a man's skeleton of gigantic size, consisting of the skull and a portion of the vertebrae. The teeth are enormous and are in a perfect state of preservation. The remains are in the possession of N.A. Osher of Carrizo Station. So maybe somebody can track down that area and see what you can find out there. Okay, this one's 1866, a Missouri sensation. Large cave discovered near St. Joseph, skeleton of a giant found, teeth 10 inches in circumference. You may have seen it noticed in the St. Joseph papers of yesterday that a cave had just been discovered in the bluffs a mile above the city, which had excited great curiosity in the neighborhood. A gentleman had been a good deal annoyed by the depredations of a wolf, and pursuing him a few days ago, he was led to a small opening in the side of the bluff, almost concealed by brush, into which the wolf ran and concealed himself. Making a torch of some faggots, aka sticks, he struck a light and crawled into the opening, which was about 4 feet high and 2 feet wide. When he had advanced a little way, he came to a large rotunda-shaped space, which reverberated strangely. He stood amazed and gazed around in the impenetrable darkness. The torchlight seemed to shine upon vacancy. He could perceive no limit to the space. Strange sounds fell upon his ears, and in wonderment and awe he retreated to the open air and hastened to town and reported the strange discovery. I probably would have too. J. Van Riley, Esquire, a gentleman of enterprise and scientific attainments, accompanied by 3 or 4 of our best citizens, soon hastened to view this new discovery and to explore its mysterious depths. Provided with all things necessary, they entered the cavern about 10 a.m. and were gone until 4 p.m., when they returned, expressing the greatest wonder and relating marvels too strange almost for credence. Before proceeding very far, they came to a vast and splendid chamber, whose ceiling and sides were adorned with various stalactites of every form and hue, and became transparent in their brightness. Fish and beasts and human forms were represented by this brilliant accretion, and the massive curtains of it, brilliant in hue, were pendant from the ceiling and hung heavily around the walls. Passing through this vast chamber, they found themselves in a sort of grotto whose sides were formed of crystal columns and whose arched ceiling resembled a gorgeous bow of diamonds. Emerging thence, they beheld another hall, vaster than the first one, and far more gorgeous in all its appointments. Here were niches, columns, recesses, fountains, all arranged as if by the hand of some great artist. And what was stranger still, a sort of low melody seemed to fill all the space. The last they attributed to the murmurs of a crystal streamlet, which leaped from a portion of the wall and ran into a recess over glittering pebbles. On one side was raised a platform of pure white marble, extending the entire length of the room, and on this platform they discovered a human skeleton of gigantic size and in excellent preservation. Its length from head to feet was 38 feet 6 inches. What? They could not measure the circumference of the head, but it was immense. They should imagine about 6 feet. Holy crap. 2 of the teeth were dislocated, and these they brought to town, and I have seen them. They are now upon the counter of the office of the Pacific Hotel for general inspection, and Mr. Blakemore, the gentlemanly clerk, takes pleasure in exhibiting them to the numerous persons who call for their inspection. One of them is 10 inches in circumference, and the other about 6. It is almost impossible to imagine an animal large enough to use such I don't know what that word. Masticators. Okay, so that's crazy. How? Why? Where is it? Who has it? That's crazy. Stalactites of every form and hue, fish and beasts and human forms, hanging from the ceiling like massive curtains and pendants. I mean, that's crazy in itself. But then a giant that's 38 feet and 6 inches? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's probably the craziest one I've heard so far. Okay, 1904. Giant skeleton unearthed. Its owner could make ordinary men look like pygmies. Springfield, Ohio. A giant skeleton has been unearthed on the Woolerton Farm, west of here, near Tippecanoe City. This skeleton measures 8 feet from the top of the head to the ankles, the feet being missing. The skull is large enough to fit as a helmet over the average man's head. The skeleton was one of several found buried in the form of a wheel under a mound, with the feet toward the hub. Never heard of a burial like that. Usually they're sitting and facing the east. Okay, so this one is 1883. A giant skeleton. George Arnold, a farmhand in the employ Boots, who lives about 15 miles west of this city, made a discovery which has excited widespread interest in this county. The object of this interest is the skeleton of once was a man of gigantic proportions, which was uncovered in a gravel pit on Mr. Boots's farm. The skeleton was found in a sitting position, facing the east, there we go, and about 6 feet beneath the surface. Some of the bones were badly broken by a caving of the bank, but the skull and some of the larger bones were taken out intact, and from them may be easily realized the gigantic stature of the being to whom they once gave support. A measurement of the skull from front to rear, the rule passing through the eye socket to the back of the head, shows it to have been about 16 inches, while the breadth of the inferior maxillary was 8½ inches, showing that the brain must have weighed from 4½ to 5 pounds. Probably had a good memory. Careful measurement of the other bones established the fact that the man when alive was not less than 9 feet in height and large in proportion. From the appearance of the teeth, which are very large and do not show the slightest sign of decay, although they are worn down almost to the bones of the jaw, the man could not have been less than 100 years old when he died, and of course he may have been much older. The bones of the lower jaw are very large and thick, showing an extent of muscular development in that organ which is far beyond anything of the present day. How long ago the body of that giant was interred, where it was unearthed, or to what tribe or nation he belonged when he trod the earth in all the majesty of his strength, it is impossible to say, but it must have been ages ago, as all the indications show that the soil where the remains were discovered had not been disturbed for many generations. Steps have been taken to have casts made of the bones, and they will be placed either in the state collection or some of our college museums. Never to be seen again, right? Okay, this one's 1845. Giant skeleton. It is stated in the Madisonian Banner on the most reliable authority that a person in Franklin County, Tennessee, while digging a well a few weeks since, found a human skeleton at the depth of 50 feet, which measures 18 feet in length. Wow, that's the 36-foot length's little brother. The immense frame was entire, with an unimportant exception in one of the extremities. It has been visited by several of the principal members of the medical faculty in Nashville and pronounced by all the skeleton of a huge man. This beats the Hydra Rehos, which I know that I did a article on that too, where they have a big list of all the giants that were found during, last couple of thousand years, I guess. Okay, this is the last one, and this is from 1899, Giant Indian Bones. Discovery of an extraordinary skeleton near Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. An Indian skeleton was dug up on the farm of Matt and Joseph Leon, 1 mile south of St. Cloud Sunday. There is nothing strange in finding an Indian skeleton, but this one was a giant in size, his frame measuring 7 foot. Now, before I read the other ones, I would think this was big, but now it seems like 7 isn't even that big. He must have been a man of note among his people, for he was buried in a large mound, 16 handsome arrows surrounding his body. The skull was brought to this city and is on exhibition in one of the Main Street windows. Near the Hoover gravel pit, skeletons by the hundreds have been dug up for the past several years. Most of the bodies are in a sitting position, with the face towards the east to face the rising sun. So they must have been sun worshippers too. I don't blame them. It's already getting chilly out here. It's 72. Ooh, it's about to go in the 60s, so I gotta go in and get a jacket. All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope wherever you are, you're having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you next time.